first question. Question number one we've got here. It's from Jody. Said, I've had it ingrained in my brain by past coaches and personal growth gurus that one-on-one coaching prospects don't like to see too much intellectual discourse or theorizing in the marketing. So you're saying, Jody, in the marketing, that's like if they're reading a sales letter, they don't want to see too much of the heady stuff. Is that the understanding? Jody?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Didn't know if I had to unmute. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just muted you by accident. I was trying to, can you unmute yourself again there, Jody?
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Dad. Yes, this is what I've been taught over the last, I guess, almost 10 years now of personal growth work. It seems to be, everyone has said, that whole thing where people say they come from the school of hard knocks. I've had a lot of those types of teachers tell me, oh, I don't need to learn book knowledge. I don't need to see anything deep. Just use this template and you'll be fine. And yeah.
Got it. So are they suggesting then that what people want to see, what do they say people want to see instead of the in-depth stuff like in a sales letter? What are they suggesting?
I have heard variations on the theme of they just want to see, oh, here's a quick little story, couple sentences. Here's the problem, solution, response, or result rather. Here is the quick win. Here is the easy thing to do, followed by the CTA and the artificial scarcity, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, good old artificial scarcity.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'll just read the rest of this out because I think it has some good stuff in it. So when I think of depth marketing, I want to connect quotes and ideas from scholars, farmers, wise elders, philosophers, etc. I really feel that my niche can not only handle more intellectual stuff, but are craving it and don't even know it. As somebody who's niching as a mindset coach for millennial entrepreneurs and small business owners who are looking for a different kind of coaching, how deep should I go in my marketing? I use Instagram. I'm looking to book podcast appearances and start my own as a member, and I'm a member of my local chamber of commerce, right? So this is a great question. I'm glad you asked. So yeah, how deep is deep? I mean, how deep do we go? What serves? The general guideline, which will be of no particular use of all to anyone, but is a sales letter should not be any longer than it needs to be. But it also shouldn't be any shorter than it needs to be. So that's not helpful, but it's true. Yeah, we're not trying to make it long for the sake of length. There's really no virtue in brevity for brevity's sake, and there's no virtue in length for length's sake. We're trying to right size it. So to me, there's a sort of, if we step back and say, okay, what's the goal? What are we going for? What we're going for is to get enough of the kind of clients that we want. And if we have enough of the kind of clients we want, who gives a shit how we get them, as long as it's ethical, et cetera. If it works, it works. And so to me, that's the metric. Does it work to get you enough of the kind of clients you want, or doesn't it? Period. That's kind of the bottom line. And what people find sometimes is if they make their sales letter too brief, they miss out a lot of the filtering pieces. That's the piece that gets left out. There's 3 roles in marketing. You get their attention, you filter, and you lower the risk. But if you take out that middle part, which is most sales letters, you get their attention, shocking headline, big fat claim, lower the risk, here's the offer, with very little filtering, if any, in the middle. And that may not be a problem, genuinely. Because it may be like, I get tons of people and they're exactly the people. Well, great. You didn't have to write such a long sales letter. I mean, I have zero issue with that. The challenge becomes you start getting clients who just aren't a good fit on a lot of levels. And one of the big levels of that is the philosophy piece. So let's say you're a naturopath and you've, after the years of discovering, looking at different diets, you've discovered that the carnivore diet is the healthiest, basically only eating animal products, a little bit of honey, whatever. And somebody comes to see you because they see they've got an autoimmune condition, and they say, well, and they're vegan, they're raw vegan. And they see that you cure this, but you don't mention the carnivore thing. And then they come into the office. You see what I'm saying? It's just like, this is just not going to work. It's so uphill. So it's good to filter those people out. Just like, hey, P.S., I work on the carnivore diet. So if you're not interested in eating a lot of animal organs and butter and honey, then this isn't going to be a fit. So to me, that's the bottom line. And it's, I mean, a slight aside here, part of the frustration, of course, that I feel around so much of this is that I see so many people who, and I've heard the stories, I spent $10,000 on a life coach or a business coach, and it was not good. And that could have been handled up front. They could have figured out that that wasn't a fit. So it depends how much you want to filter people. The more you want to filter them, probably the longer, the more in depth you go. Because part of also, if you don't filter, what you need to start doing are discovery calls. And I just think so much of so many discovery calls could be eliminated by a really good sales letter with good point of view. Because then people aren't calling you saying like, oh, I don't know if it's a fit. So it's just like, I can't wait. Oh my God, I'm so excited. With the membership or mentorship program that I used to do, it was that I never convinced anybody. I mean, sometimes on a puttering session, I'd say, I think this might be a good fit for you. And that was it. That was as pushy as it got. And the rest of it was they knew my point of view from other things. So another way to look at this whole thing is those folks are right in terms of the short game. In the short game, what they're suggesting does work better. That's a more efficient approach. Just hit the pain point, quick story, reduce the risk, artificial scarcity. In the short term, I can't beat that. But there's a long game too. And the long game is word of mouth. And as Simon Sinek pointed out in his book, Start With Why, it's like these tactics can get people to buy, but they can't get people to be loyal. And where does the loyalty come from? It comes from, you do a great job. You help them, and that's the thing. So I don't know. I mean, how in depth to go? I think it is helpful that people have at least some sense. And this is the where you learn about point of view marketing. And you say, oh, that makes sense. But the real art of it is it's like an accordion. You can stretch it out and you can narrow it down. And can you do the 30-second version? Can you do the 5-minute version? The 20-minute version? Can you do the 3-hour version? The week-long version of your point of view? Do you have that capacity to hit the high levels? Because it's so funny. I've been doing this for 20 years, and it's literally in the last few weeks working on my website, I realized, oh, there are these 5 fundamentals. The get marketing to feel good, the kind of marketing 101, niching, point of view marketing, business model hubs. So if you go to my website, my new website, did I mention I have a new website? I'll be mentioning that for the next 6 months. If you go to marketingforhippies.com/steps, it's there under my philosophy stuff, 5 steps to feel good marketing. You'll see it laid out. And I've been doing this for years, and it finally hit. That's a nice high level way of looking at everything I teach. My day-long workshop, of course, which, by the way, if you haven't checked out my day-long workshop, you go to my starter kit. If you haven't already gotten my starter kit, sign up for it. And if you're already on my email list and you didn't get it, email me. Just Tad at marketingforhippies.com also. But you can find it. I assume you're on my list because you're here pretty much. But if you're not, go check that out. You can sign up on my email list and email me if you don't have it. I'll send you the link. Anyways, you can see the full footage of my day-long workshop. And what is that? It's a very high-level 30,000-foot view. So I can do the day-long version, but if somebody wants me to do the 30-second version, I can do that too. So a sales letter, here's another angle on it. In a sales letter, it really depends how much are you asking from them in terms of risk, financially or other kinds of risk. And I would submit that the more risk there is on their end, the more education they're going to want. Yeah, the more ways it could go wrong and screw them, the more reassurance they'll want. And that is going to come in the form of point of view and stories. And of course, a good case study has both of those in it. But they're going to want a lot. If you're saying, I don't know, how to figure out Instagram, there's not a lot of risk there. Probably okay. But if it's how to finally deal with your childhood sexual trauma, you see what I'm saying? This is like, do I want to open that can of worms? The level of risk is enormous. Like if I go there, this could make my life much worse. Or what about this? On the business side, hey, we'll completely change your customer relation management system. We got a new one. It's better. But if it doesn't work, it's not like I'm just out the money. You've destroyed my business. So the risk level is very high, and then you need more education. So if it's low risk, low money, it's just easy. Not much copy needed, and probably will get in the way. But if the consequences of it not working, or the consequences of even approaching the issue are serious for people, people want to know more. You know, if you're going to go skydiving for the first time, I've never done it. I never will. But I imagine that he get this. Are you sure? I mean, but now what about a million questions that people want to know. One of my clients who's in the mentorship program, Kasuma Sparks, her website is beautyandvirtue.com. She sells nighties that are $600. And as you can imagine, like what, $600 for a nightie, that's a lot of money. And so people who are, they want to get something fancy, but like, that's a lot of money. And there's nighties that are like pricier. And then you start to want to know, wait, what is this made out of? How much time did this take you? What is this really organic? Is this fair trade? You want to know all these things to justify. This is what the point of view is doing. So another angle on the whole thing. The headline.
Hey, Pat, just shortly, I think you're banging your mic a fair amount. At least I'm hearing that. And that might affect your recordings. Just, I sent you a message, but you're going on and on. So I'm enjoying what you're saying, but.
Okay, I think that'll fix it. I just pinned it. Yeah, please, thank you. Anyways, please interrupt me if that happens. It kills me when that's happening with other people. Okay, so yeah, so the other thing is the headline is the emotional side. The rest of the sales letter is mostly the logical side, generally, we'll say. So the emotional side of it is, it doesn't take much time, frankly. Just a good headline, good subheadline. It's just enough that people are like, yes, that deals with the problem I have. And this is where the niching comes in, of picking a problem that they actually want to deal with, that's urgent for them, rather than like, oh, that'd be nice someday, which is just, that's over. Forget about the point of view marketing. You haven't even established the relevance. The relevance, so there's an ebook I wrote called The Art of Relevance that goes all into this, what I'd call Island A and Island B. But if the issue isn't urgent enough, they will never read all the point of view stuff. But if the issue is really pressing, if it's a real big thing for them, the pain of that, or the desire for the result, is what would push them to actually read more. You know, like imagine the difference between these two things. Two 20-page sales letters. One of them says, how to create a real super marriage. And the other one is, exactly what you need to say to stop a painful divorce, even if it seems impossible. You see what I'm saying? That second one, that people, because they're actually in a place of pain where like, okay, I'm ready to deal with something. Having a super marriage is like, no one's going to read anything. They probably won't even, like, they won't even go beyond the headline. So there has to be an urgency, either in the pain or the result, at some level. Otherwise, people just, you and I too, you know, it's like whenever I've toured, people say, oh, you know, it's a real last minute town here. No, it's not. Humans are last minute creatures. Your town is not any more last minute. Every town is last minute. We just, why wouldn't we be? It makes sense. Something cooler might come up. Why commit before you need to commit? So unless there's some reason to sign up right now, we don't. Yeah, then, you know, we get to the scarcity, and the reality is, of course, sometimes there is scarcity. There's only so many spots in a program. There's only so many slot, like for my puttering sessions. I think if you want to work with me one-on-one, by the way, marketingforhippies.com/puttering. I've only got 10 left. That's a real thing. There aren't any more spots on my schedule I want to add. So there you go. So I don't know, does that help, Jody?
Yeah, it does. Like I've taken some notes, short notes on that. I think part of it is that I originally found you a couple of years ago through Steve Jenkinson. And so my measure for depth is pretty deep as a result. That's the context I'm approaching the question in. And the notion that coaching, business, all of this is a generational mission. These are the types of things I'm trying to stitch into a 30, like I said, a low level headline. I need to do some more work to break it down into components. I know that. It's just I'm battling with the teachings of my previous experience. That is the first teaching that I had. That's part of it. That says, don't roll deep, go flash, go with a cool graphic, show pictures of yourself at the gym all the time or something. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of thing, right? Or rolling around in cash. Like I don't want to do that. I want to, like my generation's got a mission and they've got stuff that they need to meet. So that's where I'm approaching it from. It's just it seems like I'll be writing essays the rest of my life if I let myself, and maybe not make any money in the process if I'm not careful.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I fully feel you. Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to go to the next question, but good to have you here.